Shalawam. I'm a Hebrew Israelite, and as always, I'm gonna face the east. I'm gonna say, giving all praises to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shah, Bahasham, Harakah Kodash. Double honor to the elders, the men of the Lord, beginning with Elder Abba Bibbins, last century in the 1960s, who, before he went back to the spirit world, passed the torch on to Elder Malak Mashah, Elder High Priest Ya'iqwab, Elder High Priest Ariyah, who spiritually then the torch got passed on to Elder Apostle Tahar and his men and the other elder apostles of Great Millstone here today. All right, and to the scattered elect, scattered amongst the four corners of the earth, that have the traditional look of the so-called Negro, Latino, and Native American, as well as the speckled birds, pursuing to Jeremiah, the 12th chapter and the 9th verse, where you're going to have Israelites of the elect, the 1/3, pursuant to Zechariah 13 and 8, where the 1/3 are going to be saved, are going to receive salvation here, and the 2/3 are going to end up perishing by having to come back through the loins of the 1/3 in the kingdom of heaven, which will be here on earth. And Elder Abba Bivens was the forerunner to who the world really calls Jesus Christ, whose name is Yahweh Shai. You know, this was Elijah who was set forth to come. This was Elder Rabbi Abba Bivens was also John the Baptist, for those who can receive it. All right, who did back 2,000 years ago what he did back in the 1960s, which was he was the forerunner and would pave the way for who the world really calls Jesus Christ for his first appearance back then as Yahweh Shai, and then in this day and age on his return as the Lion of Judah, to come and take down the heathen, beginning with the self-proclaimed white man, the Edomites, pursuant to 2nd Ezra chapter 6 verse 9. For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. And when he comes back, he's going to come back in what the world calls UFOs and with the angels. All right. And he's only coming for the nation of Israel. He's only coming for Israelites. He's not coming for anyone else. And like I just said, the speckled bird, they're going to come out looking like, because we were scattered all amongst the other heathen nations pursuant to Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter and the 68th verse, because the transatlantic slave trade, when they brought slaves over here after the self-proclaimed white man Esau Edom bartered with the so-called Arabs who were Ishmael and the so-called Africans who were Hamites, they brought the bulk of Judah, Benjamin, and Levi over here. Granted, there were some of the northern kingdom with them on slave ships brought over here in chattel slavery, but when they landed here, Gad, the so-called Native American Indians, Reuben, the so-called Seminole Indians, and Issachar, the so-called Mexicans, were already here in this land before Columbus and them got here. But when they got down here with these slave ships and brought the bulk of Judah, Benjamin, and Levi over here, they took a bulk of Reuben, Gad, and Issachar back with them, back over across the Atlantic to Africa and Portugal and Spain and wherever they wanted to, wherever their friends were, the Edomite friends were, to sell those people into slavery. All right, and the Lord is solely pissed off about that too. You ever notice that's why the Atlantic, they always got hurricanes that come off the Atlantic, and then it just brushes up and down the East Coast, man. So the Lord is pissed with Esau Edom. Beginning to what I always get into, excuse me, what I always get into is the MOTP, the micro C here, all right? And how the heathens are confederate in trying to make this happen, which they are gonna, the Lord is gonna allow them to get only so far with their establishment of the N to the W to the O, because pursuant to Job 9 and 24, it says the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covereth the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he? So that right there shows you that the reason why the self-proclaimed white man is in power, globally speaking, right now, is because the Most High Himself put him in the power seat to punish us, the children of Israel, for committing idolatry and worshiping other the heathens deities and their idols, which are made of wood and stone. They do not live. The Most High Yahweh, that's His name. Yah meaning He, Hawa meaning exist, is the only one true living power. You can Google that, the one true living power, and it'll show you that. And his son, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, his name in the Hebrew is Yah, meaning he. Hawashah means to deliver, because the letter J didn't come about until 1524. All right. So and it shows that the Most High is mad with Esau Edom. This just real quick. This is Ezekiel 25:14. And I will lay my vengeance upon Edom by the hand of my people Israel, and they shall do in Edom according to mine anger and according to my fury, and they shall know my vengeance, saith the Lord Yahweh. One way that he's laid his hands on the nation of Edom, which is going to be the coup de grace of taking down Esau Edom and his kingdom, is those thermonuclear missiles, the atom bomb, the hydrogen bomb. Those were invented back during the time of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. The scientists that really put forth the know-how and created those instruments of Esau's ultimate destruction, which are those nuclear missiles and those bombs, were Israelites. There was a man by the name of Julian Montgomery. If you Google the black engineers or black scientists that had a hand in the Manhattan Project, it'll show you that they had Jakes in there, male and female. There was one Jake, I believe his name was Mr. Julian Montgomery, and there was a guy by the name of Knox and Knox Jr., who were the head of the department that facilitated the development of the atomic bomb, dealing with plutonium and all the other elements to help bring it together. So that's one way that the Most High is using his people Israel to lay vengeance upon Edom. Okay, another way is by, like I mentioned earlier in the beginning of the video, the men of the Lord of the hopeful elect. Those of them who had already died in the faith. Those are certified men. Right now, those of us who are here on earth, we're of the hopeful elect. We hope that we are of the chosen. As the scriptures say, many are called, few are chosen. I've been called. I hope that I've been chosen. I hope that I am of the chosen, which is, the elect, which is 144,000, 12,000 from each tribe, each of the 12 tribes of the nation of Israel. The 12 disciples that was with Yahushua, King David, and then the innumerable multitude of men, women, and children who are believers. All right. But to show you this right here, I'm going to go into a little bit more detail. This is Revelation chapter 13, verses 16. And he calls us all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their forehead, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his image. All right. And to show you where it says, and he calls us all, both small and great. Meaning like it's going to be a global ultimatum. This is very serious. As you can see over in Vietnam, they froze, this was a couple months ago, they froze 86 million bank accounts because people have refused to acclimate and to accept the digital ID in the form of, something on their phones. Nowadays, with the smartphones and the smartwatches, like RFK Jr., that did a video on him back in July showing exposing how RFK Jr. wants people to have wearable smartwatches that are like digital IDs. So you notice how it's going from the palm of our hand and our phones, which has, they have micro C-hips in them. But Esau Edom is all about gradualism, and he's trying to gradually get the C-hips, the micro C-hips inside of people's flesh. All right. And to prove that he's going to be able to cause us all, both small and great, there's a telltale sign that he has global cooperation with all the other 17 heathen nations around the world. Even though they practice different customs and ways of life, they all work and are confederate with Esau Edom, because he runs the world to help bring about this N to the W to the O. Now, Vietnam they don't practice a way of life and customs like they do here in Babylon, but yet they have the digital IDs in place. The same thing with the so-called East Indians, which is Elam. All right. Psalms the 83rd chapter and the first verse. A song or psalm of Asaph. Keep not thy silence, O Yahweh. hold not thy peace, and be not still, O Yahweh. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones. The hidden ones and are the Israelites, you so-called Negroes, Native Americans, and Latinos. For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee. And that's why you can sit here, whether it's in the so-called barrios, which is like a Spanish word for hood, or in the for the so-called Latinos, the hood for the so-called Negroes, or the reservations for the so-called Native American and Seminole Indians. You always have, it's the same layout and structure. The so-called white man owns the land and the buildings and the banks. The so-called East Indians and the Arabs own the hotels and the gas stations. The so-called Chinese and Japanese own those restaurants where they sell abominable meat. All right, this is Psalms the 83rd chapter, verse 6, and this is the list of people to show. And I'm gonna show you my point through the Spirit, Lord willing. The tabernacles of Edom and the Ishmaelites, of Moab and the Hagarenes. That's verse 6. So of the tabernacles of Edom, which are the self-proclaimed white people, here in America alone. I haven't even done Central and South America. I haven't done Canada yet. I haven't done any of the other countries or continents, but just here in America, this is what I found. In America, the word Edom, they have places named in 3 different states called Edom. They have one called Edom, Texas. They have one called Edom, Virginia. And they had one formerly called Edom in California. And now I said, verse 6, it said, the tabernacles of Edom and the Ishmaelites. Now, down here you have a town in Missouri called Ishmael, Missouri. Okay? Reading on, it says of Moab. Now you have a place, I'm in Arizona, you have a place up north called Moab, Utah. Okay? And the Hagarenes. The Hagarenes are a subsect. Bear with me, hold on. The Hagarenes, Jebel, which is spelled Gebal, and Ammon. Ammon are the so-called Japanese. You have several places here in America on the East Coast called Ammon, North Carolina. You have Ammon Ford, North Carolina. You have Ammon, Virginia, and you have a place called Ammon, Idaho. That's Ammon. And Ammon are the so-called Japanese. And then it says, and Amalek, which is a subsect, which is one of the tribes of Edom, which are the small hats, the tiny tops, the 1948ers. Then you have the Philistines with the inhabitants of Tyre. Now, the Philistines with the inhabitants of Tyre are the so-called, they're the Hamites, the so-called Africans. And part of their land that they had was Palestine. All right, where those so-called Arabs live today over there in Gaza and all that. That's where those Hamites live. And now Palestine being one of them, they got places here in America called Palestine, Illinois, and Palestine, Texas. Ashur, this is verse 8. Ashur also was joined with them. They have helping the children of Lot, Salah. Now Ashur, A-S-S-U-R, are the Assyrians. And now they have a place called Assyria Township in Michigan. All right, and the capital of Assyria in the ancient world is Nineveh. Now, here in America, they have a place called Nineveh, Indiana, Nineveh, Pennsylvania, Nineveh, Missouri, Nineveh, New York, Nineveh, Virginia, and then they have Nineveh Creek, or Assyria Creek. All right, so this shows you out of all the names, these biblical names that the self-proclaimed white man is calling out, he's doing it from the scriptures because they know that they are the children of Esau and that they are Edom. All right? In Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter and the 68th verse, it says, and the Lord Yahweh shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee. And that's what, if you ever take out a dollar bill and look at the back of the dollar bill, you have the pyramid with the all-seeing eye on top of it. All right? And then on top of that, it's got Latin written on the dollar bill. The primary language here in America is English. But why do they have Latin written on the dollar bill? And then they have the pyramid, because spiritually, they take all the deities and all the customs and all the witchcraft and prognosticating properties of all the other heathen nations since going back to going back a long time, including the ones of their own, and they lace their society with those energies to keep the people on this side, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, under a spell and under a trance, you know, and underneath their vibration. Thou shalt see it no more again, and there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. Now, if you go and look in the history of slaves and auctioning blocks here in America, you're only going to see Negroes, some Latinos, and so-called Native Americans on there. All right? Because even though, you know, we were all, before they really started raping our, the so-called white men started raping our women and stuff, a lot of the so-called Mexicans and Native Americans and Seminole Indians were just as dark as us Negroes, Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, Negroes, Jamaicans, and Haitians. All right? So we were the main people sold on them auctioning blocks. And to show you today that they're trying to further their, advance their plan to establish the N to the W to the O, Idaho is now trying to establish digital currency. So bear with me. And it says, revert back to the mark of the to the beast, the micro C hip. Yes, Idaho. I asked the question, digital ID in Idaho, USA, and AI says yes. Idaho passed the bill to allow digital driver's licenses, which will be optional and can be stored in a mobile wallet. However, as of November 2025, the system is still under development and not yet available for residents. When launched, it will be a secure digital ID, and you will likely need to use a physical ID for certain federal purposes, like air travel. So Idaho passed the bill, House Bill 78 in 2025, to enable Idaho Transportation Department to issue digital driver's licenses and ID cards. This will be optional for residents and stored in a mobile phone's wallet application. The digital ID is expected to be more secure. It can help reduce fraud. See, that's always the Trojan horse, just like it was with wallets and IDs. You know, well, maybe you try to pull some money out, you probably drop an ID, you don't notice it. Now the same thing, they're going to apply that same thought pattern to digital ID. Well, you know, you keep dropping your phone, you keep breaking it, you keep losing your phone, leaving it behind. So eventually they like the scriptures say that Esau was more subtle than any beast of the field, meaning he does stuff very sly, very coy, very slick, very, gradualism. So he's going to use the same stuff, and eventually he's going to try to get it into the skin. If you look up a man by the name of Noah Harari, Harari, Noah Harari. He talks about he's a tiny top, and he's also a moho, and he's talking about how he wants to. The goal is to achieve underskin surveillance, because right now they can look at us through smart refrigerators, smart TVs, smartphones. So that's that, and that alludes to the all-seeing eye on that pyramid on the back of the dollar bill, which means Esau wants to say to himself that they are God. That's what they say to themselves, and they want that power of God, which is why they want to know each and every single thing you're doing. If you ever watch a National Geographic show, you see how intimately and how private, how much he invades the privacy of animals. What makes you think that we're any different? We're no different. They want to know each and every single thing we're doing. So for the people who, the goal is it's the ultimate digital ool. Now back in the ancient world, when Israelites had Israelite servants, that Israelite was given an option after a certain period of time to either stay and serve his master forever, or to break apart from him and then have his own land and move on with his life. But if that Israelite chose to remain a servant to that other Israelite, that Israelite will put like a ool in his ear, like a stud ring. So Esau has took that concept and now he's got it with this digital ID to where he wants to, it's mainly about the children of Israel on this sign, where he wants them to confirm and openly say to the world that Esau Edom, the self-proclaimed white man, is their God instead of the God of the Israelites, the God of the heaven and earth, which his name is Yahweh. All right. But now the elect are getting ready to be, the elect are being awakened right now, and they're being gathered by, beginning with Elder Apostle Tahar on down, who go out on the highways and byways, both physically and, via the YouTube, which is the unicorn, that's able to reach the four corners of the earth to help spread the gospel of Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, and to restore the true identity of the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. Because if you notice, we're the only ones we've been made a byword and a proverb of reproach. Being called so-called black, so-called Mexican, so-called Puerto Rican, so-called Colombian, those are bywords, all right? And this is proof that the elect are being waken up. Revelation 11:11. And after 3 days and a half, the spirit of life from God entered into them, which is this wisdom, this knowledge, this truth, beginning with Rabbi Abba Bivens last century in the 1960s on until today's time. We'll begin with Elder Apostle Tahar on down when he joined back in the 80s. He's been talking about the micro C here for 40 years. So he's ready, man. He's been patiently waiting. Remember, here's the patience and the faith of the saints. All right. Which, my personal opinion, I hope the man makes it, and I think he's Matthew in the spirit, but I don't know. It'll be shown in time. All right, Revelation 11:11. And after 3 days and a half, the spirit of life from God entered into them, and they stood upon their feet, and great fear fell upon them which saw them. Now, great fear that fell upon them are these heathens out here, because the last thing that they wanted to do was to provide a way for the children of Israel to be spiritually awakened as to who they are, to the Most High, his name, his only begotten Son's name, and what the Most High deems good and what he deems not good. All right, which shows that statement right here shows that the Lord has mercy on his people. Because if it was up to Esau Edom, we would not know who we are. So the Lord stepping in via Rabbi Abba Bivens last century is a testament to the Lord's mercy, and now coming back from his hiding place to gather his children, aka the elect. Now, pursuing back to Revelation, the 13th chapter, about the mark of the beast. Here's what's going to happen to people, the 2/3 of the nation of Israel who were slated to take the micro C here. Revelation 14:9. And the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast and his image, and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of Yahweh, which is poured without mixture into the cup of his indignation. And he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. That Lamb being Yahushua with the holy angels when they come back in what the world calls UFOs. That's what those are. Those are the chariots of Israel. And that's how the Lord is going to send his son back to gather his elect before he has this place destroyed by thermonuclear destruction, because America and that land of Israel is going to be destroyed by thermonuclear destruction. And at the same time that the Most High is successfully completing 2nd Ezra 6-9, for Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth, he's going to beam up his elect so that she does not partake in her sins, which was ultimately taking that micro C here. And verse 11, and the smoke of their torment ascended up forever and ever, and they had no rest day nor night, who worship the beast and his image, and whosoever receiveth the mark of his name. Here is the patience of the saints. Here are they that keepeth the commandments of God in the faith of Yahushua. All right. And when that thermonuclear destruction hits, this is what's going to happen in Revelation chapter 19 and 20. And the beast was taken, and with him the false prophet that wrought miracles before them, with which he deceived them that had received the mark of the beast, and them that worshiped his image. All right, his image is like his philosophy, his ways of life, his code of ethics, which is heathenistic. It's not. There's no uprightness in them. Google that one. There is no uprightness in him. Let's talk about Esau, Edom. Job 30:4 says, "They are children of fools, yea, children of base men. They are viler than the earth." Meaning that they're the worst form of man that the Most High has ever created out of all 18 nations. The nation of Israel are the sons of the princes of power, of the princes of God, Yahshua Allah. The 16 of those nations are called the sons of man. And then Esau, Edom, the self-proclaimed white man, are the sons of the wicked. They're the worst creation that the Most High ever made. These both were cast alive into the lake of fire, burning with brimstone. And like I said, that's that thermonuclear war. They take that chip, and they're going to be, the heathens are going to die any goddamn ways in that thermonuclear war here in Babylon. But the 2/3 of the nation of Israel that take that micro C-hip that's alive in that day, they too will die, will get a heathen's judgment, all right? Which is being killed and burned by thermonuclear fire. But the 2/3 of Israel will come back in the kingdom of heaven, which will be established here on earth through the loins of the 1/3. As it is written, all Israel shall be saved. Google that one. Because right now, Babylon is a 500-year-old occupation. And they brandish this whore and advertise her before the rest of the entire world, perpetrating like this is a great place to be. No, this is a fucking occupation right now. All right? And the Lord is pissed off about that shit. And I'm going to read it to you. Revelation chapter 13, 9 and 10. If any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. All right? So it is no question that the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans are at the bottom of the barrel here in Babylon. Because here it is with these fucking ICE agents. You know, you got all they're really attacking are so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. You got so-called Chinese, so-called Japanese people living here. Like, you know, they know about Pearl Harbor. You got Arabs here. You know, Trump just had one of the Arab presidents over here, someone like that this past week, showing their partnership because they're all in cahoots. Remember Psalms, the 83rd chapter, Ishmael. All right. So all the heathen are in cahoots to come against the children on this side, the children of Israel, and to do away with us as a nation. But the Lord's going to fuck them up. And they're going to have a genuine falling out because so-called Russia, China, even though they're helping to try to establish this new world NWO, they are having a genuine falling out with Esau, Edom, because Esau, Edom, they don't know how to not fuck someone over. That's all they know how to do. Their blessing was the sword that was given to them by their father Isaac, that was given to him, Esau, by his father Isaac, who was Yahushua in that time, in the spirit. All right? And when Esau asked for that blessing, it's in Genesis, the 25th chapter, Esau said, bless me also, my father. And Isaac said, you know, you will have the fatness of the earth, and by the sword you shall live. So the only way Esau knows how to deal with people is through violence, through swords. A psychological sword, a verbal sword, a literal sword. That's all these people know how to do. Obadiah chapter 1, verse 1. The vision of Obadiah, thus saith the Lord Yahweh, concerning Edom. We have heard a rumor from the Lord, and an ambassador is sent among the heathen. Arise ye, and let us rise up against her in battle. That's the mother heathen nations. Behold, I have made thee small among the heathen. Thou art greatly despised. And the more that people, the other heathen nations try to do business with Esau, they get fucked. And then they end up hating them for it. And that's what's going to lead to this third war, which is the third woe talked about in Revelation. And this is the woe to end the society. Their society here on earth. And so, like I said, for those, because Esau has been raping, he is, and continues to rape our women and the women from the other heathen nations. So you're going to have Edomites looking like so-called Negroes, looking like so-called Native Americans, looking like so-called Asians, looking like so-called Arabs, looking like so-called Hawaiians, looking like so-called Africans. So for those of you who are spiritually Edomites, get ready to get your fucking ass whooped and be done away with and burned via Obadiah, the 18th chapter. Thus saith the Lord Yahweh, Obadiah 1 and 18. And the house of Jacob shall be a fire, and the house of Joseph a flame, and the house of Esau for stubble. And they shall kindle in them and devour them, and there shall be none, there shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau, for the Lord Yahweh hath spoken it. All right? So with that, I'm going to give all praises, honor, and glories to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Harakah Kodash. I hope this was enlightening to you. The hopeful elect, the elect out there, whoever you are, you're lucky. Keep the faith and stay strong. For more content on past, present, and future events that can be filtered through the scriptures, the Old Testament, the Apocrypha, and the New Testament, go to What is the 666 Mark II GMS Truth? That's Elder Apostle Tahar's channel. Go to Daily Edification 4. That's Apostle Gabar's channel. Go to GMS Keep Pushing On. That's Apostle Rakar's channel. Go to GMS Info Doc Channel 12. That's Apostle Orion Lob's channel. Go to, I got two more. Ah, shit. Go to GMS Apostles Street Ministry. That's Elder Apostle Tahar, Elder Apostle Gabar, Elder Bishop Sakaron. Go to Jacob Barak. That's one of the elders, Connecticut bishops. And then also go to Apostles Live 34th. That one is done by Elder Apostle Gabar and Elder Bishop Sakaron. All right. So I hope you guys were enlightened. Till the next time, Shalawam. Stay strong. Okay.